I'm Frankline Gitao. I'm a Mombasa facility manager. I work with an organization called Somo Africa, and what we do is that we support entrepreneurs from low underserved areas, and we help them build sustainable enterprises.
Right, of course. What kind of support is it?
So we have a detailed way. Our support starts with skill acquisition, and there we have a pillar that we call Somo Academy, and in this pillar we have trainings that the first sort of training, we call it Boost Biz, and this targets people that have small businesses, and we give them trainings for about 2 months, and then we give them a grant token that to just boost their businesses. We also have another pillar that we call Buruka, and this is a socially focused training. So that training, we train them for about 3 months, and then we also give them initial investment to launch their businesses, and we also work with them sort of a journey. We have mentorship sessions through our channel that we call Chanuka, and on that, the key thing there is for them to have mentorship on the areas that they would request to be mentored on.
Right.
Yes.
And for the fact that you've mentioned training,
yes,
and to me, and especially for the people who are watching, those who want to get into entrepreneurship and starting small-scale business enterprises, how key is training here?
It's before you handle money, we feel like it's very important for you to have the skill first and knowledge, because there was a study that has been done by Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and it says that over 70% of businesses never get to see their 3 months from the day that they launch. And of course, there are very many factors. There are issues with capital, there are issues with experience. The main key issue there is when they don't have this training, so that you are just learning by trial and error. So when we have trainings that make them acquire these skills, it makes them to at least to be in a better position to And
to most people, especially before we normally come with a topic, we must speak to individuals concerning it.
Yes.
And from those whom I spoke with, they were like, for instance, somebody mentioned something in Swahili, and I want to get this straight from you, from the fact that you've dealt with some of the entrepreneurs. You'll hear somebody say, mimi sina mkono wa biashara. Do we have something like that existing?
I would want to say that it has to do with, of course, very successful business people that we know. They have failed in the first or even the second business venture that they started. So it is that persistence that gets them to start a business that is sustainable, is a successful enterprise.
Right.
So I would want to say that before maybe you say that, try different ventures, try to see, did you fail because you entered into a market or into a business that did not have a market? Were you wrong at maybe getting your niche? So I would say it will be, before you make that statement, it's very powerful. Before you make that statement, at least try and see you have tried different areas. And also there is and that is why we are very critical about that at Somo, because we understand that skill acquisition is not enough, funding is not enough. So we go a step further and we offer mentorship, and we also offer growth opportunities. We also offer things to do with market access beyond the localities. So it's a full journey, right from the training all the way to market access.
Right. And of course, and listening to you, Mr. Gitao, I get a feeling like running a business or running an enterprise, it's quite complex. Is it true that it needs a lot here?
Yes, because
can't I wake up and say, okay, let me open a kibanda and run it? It sounds so simple, like saying so, but listening to you, it sounds to me like it has a bit of technicalities that we need to know.
Yeah, it's I would say anything that is worth it is never, you can't get something just by, you know, it happening by the magic of things. So, and I would say it requires you to make, to learn also from the business. Maybe by that you'll be making a couple of some mistakes, but that persistence and you believing in what you are doing is very important. In our training, we have one of the first lessons that we focus on is know your why.
Know your
why. There is a YouTube, there is a talk, a TED talk that has been done by Simon Sinek. It's called Know Your Why. And the reason why we do that at the first time is because we have...
Know your why.
Know your why.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so there is that golden circle, why, what, and how.
All right.
So why is why are you doing this business?
Okay.
And then what is, what do you do in your business? And how do you do this business? So knowing your why is important because as you've said, the world of business is very challenging. But if you know that, for example, in fact, for the first 6 months, you won't be making, profit.
Right.
You'll be struggling to break even. But if you know the reason why you started this, it keeps you going. So you are not just, even if you make loss, even if you are struggling to break even, you will still continue to push because you want to achieve and you want to have an impact.
Right. And the fact that you've mentioned about pushing.
Yes.
How far should I push? For instance, now, let's say today I wake up and open up a boutique. Let's take, for instance, I want to run a boutique. And after going for like 3 months, I start evaluating myself and I see, you know, I'm doing losses. I pay bills for the enterprise and it's not bringing me money. How long should I push and say until when I say, okay, I think this one is not working for me? How long should I push?
Yes, that's a very good question. What I would say is, especially for this will cut for entrepreneurship and less of business, because I want to separate the two, and I will answer that question on the eyes of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So we know there is a difference between business and entrepreneurship.
Right.
And business is I just get goods from point A and to point B, and I just my main focus is to make a profit. So if I'm not making a profit with business, if I get goods there and I'm not after doing my calculations, I'm not getting profit, then for in terms of business, how it will make sense is for me to be able to close that business. But for entrepreneurship is different because an entrepreneur is somebody who identifies a business opportunity and then they are able to, they have that ability to try and solve that need.
Right.
So you could identify maybe a problem and you want now to provide solution for that problem. Or maybe you have seen there is a need in society and now you want to fulfill that need. So in that process of either solving a problem or fulfilling that need takes time. And that's why I said, if you're an entrepreneur, it's important for you to look inward and know, why am I doing this? And from experience with working with different entrepreneurs, we have been able to see that this why comes from either passion, or it's something that you've gone through. Maybe I would say, for example, if we have a business here in Mombasa, it's called Rock Swahili Wear.
Okay.
And this person started this business out of seeing in post-election violence, there were some car tires that were being, they were being banned, and maybe that has impact on our roads and stuff. So she having experienced that, she is now trying to solve that problem. Okay, these tires that have been thrown into our environment, I can be able to maybe take something and make some Swahili shoes out of that. So you see, for her, she's not going to stop until she feels like that need or that problem has been solved. So for entrepreneurship, you continue pushing, you continue thriving, and you continue flying until you feel like when you look inward, you have been fulfilled, yes, and you have solved that need.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, you do advocate for more people to be entrepreneurs rather than just doing business.
I would say it also looks, that will also depend with the person. Of course, for me, as Somo, we work with both. We work with business people and business program, and also work with entrepreneurs with Buruka program. But the world needs more of entrepreneurship, and particularly social entrepreneurship. In Somo, we look at 4 different areas. We have areas to do with health, areas to do with employment, area to do with environment, and we have area to do with training. So if you try to look inward and you see you can start a business venture out of those areas, I'm very sure the world needs somebody who can solve our social problems.
Right. Now, coming back to the improvement of the productivity of SMEs in the country, do you feel the government has done much to improve on these SMEs?
It's not yet there, but it's trying. And I will want to give this through an example that we have experienced with Somo. In Nairobi, before I answer the question, let me just briefly say the areas that we operate.
Okay.
We have our headquarters in Nairobi. We have working with communities in Kibera, which is our main headquarter. We work with Kayole, and we have a production facility in Githurai and a training.
Why Islamic area?
Because, as I said, we work with entrepreneurs from underserved areas. So these areas, we believe that the government have not been able to reach to infiltrate more. And because we work with entrepreneurs who want to solve the problems, that's why now we invest in them so that they can change their communities from within. So a case that happened in Githurai is that we were able to partner with the county government to have, they gave us a training space. Yeah, in Mombasa, we have partnered with also the county government, and we have 14 potential training spaces in Mombasa. So we can see that I would say 3 or 4 years ago that was not happening, but when we now when they start to see what we are doing, and
so they come on board.
Yes, so they come on board. So the government is I would say it's trying, though things can get better.
Right, but it's trying, but still dragging. Yeah, you're trying to sugarcoat, but to the SMEs and those people who are involved in that, they will tell you it's doing little. And then now, yes, having an SME is one thing, and improving on its productivity is another.
Yes.
And of course, that is an area that you based on and touching to try and improve on this. Now, if today I have my SMEs, I've gone through the trainings and that you're talking about, I've partnered with other organizations and entities like yours, and I need to improve on my productivity. I want this thing to work and work well for me. I don't want to look at it and think I wasted my time, I wasted my finances, I wasted my energy. How do I get to improve on my productivity now inside my SME?
That's a very good question. The first thing I would say, when in our training or generally, a very good business person, you know that for you to improve, you have to have like a structure in your business that is working for you, and how you also improve on the product.
Structure, what do you mean with structure?
There is you have a solid saving, you have a solid saving culture. You have a way that you're separating personal finances with business finances, and we focus that in our trainings. So we have realized, or majority of people, what they do with their businesses is that they don't have a separation between business finances and personal finances. Right. So you'll find every time you pick something, whether you are selling a kiosk, you pick something, if it's an unga, you pick it and then you cook. But you see now that one, you ought to have you ought to have told yourself, I've borrowed from my business. So if there is no that separation first between the personal things and the business things, the business you will do the same thing for over 5 years. The other thing is you have to constantly plow back the profits into the business. As I said, there is no shortcut with business. You have to know the basics. You have first of all to identify what is your why, then you go with that separation of capital, then you go with, you have a solid saving investment plan, you have to have goals for your business, and of course now that's where we have mentorship. That is because, for example, you might, as a business person, you might be struggling with knowing how you do digital marketing.
Right.
We are now shifting from traditional marketing to digital marketing. So maybe that's an area that you've not been exposed to. So maybe previously you used to rely on people coming to your physical shop for people to buy from your place. Now with digital marketing, you can be in a position to market to bigger and wider population.
Right.
You know, so if you have to constantly grow, constantly be mentored into areas that will ensure that your business is attaining that stability and you're thriving.
Oh, that's what Mr. Gitao, there is so much content here, I tell you, when it comes to how you improve your SME productivity. That is what we're discussing here in a nutshell. Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to take a breather. When we come back, we'll be continuing on ways at which we can improve on our productivity. And at a time as this, where the government is also calling on improvement of SMEs, there is need for financial assistance. That is the key most area. You know, we may have good ideas, but when we lack finances, it becomes useless. But then how do we get financial assistance to improve on the productivity of our SMEs? That is a subtopic that we'll be coming to look at after this commercial break. Don't go too far. And just from where we left,
yes.
And finances rather, it's one of the biggest challenges that most of SMEs are facing. And if you walk through even speaking to more entrepreneurs and other people who have ventured into business, you can't miss them mentioning about hardship in their finances.
Yes.
And to me, is this a dragon that is hard to kill? This issue about fixing our finances. How do we get to fix that?
Yes. So how we look at it is some entrepreneurs will enter into either entrepreneurship or business with the thought that they would want to have $1 million shillings. They need $1 million shillings to do business. But that's not how things works. You see, there is how we think things works and there is how things works. So how you do with a business, even as you enter into any business venture, is that you first have to chip in with, you have to try with a small amount of money to learn also about the venture, to learn about what are the customers' needs, what do you want to, what will they want, and how can you adjust to their wants. So if you do that with a lot of money, of course the fall is going to be great. But if you start with small amount of money, it's easier for you to evolve to what the market requires.
Right.
Of course, now there is what we advocate at Somo, that you first do the market research first to see whether your product is something that they would want. You prototype your product, you take it to them, they give you feedback, so that as you launch, now you have you are launching with at least information that is more accurate compared to if you were to launch it having not done that.
Right.
Of course, there is also that aspect of there are stages in businesses. There is that launch stage where you want to start the business, to kickstart. There is that another stage whereby it's a growth stage. So you have to know where you are. You cannot heavily pump a lot of money and you're in the initial stage.
Right.
And at Somo, we ensure that even the entrepreneurs and the businesses that we work with, we have those stages. We have the initial stage where we provide them with investment that is non-refundable, and for growth grant, they also pitch about their businesses, and then they can win in a competition that we call Inuka Pitch, and then they get growth grant, and then of course we also expose them to partners that would give them loans for growth.
Right, very true. And here the aspect of loans comes in, and mostly we see out here that most SMEs rely so much on the loans and financial assistance that they get from different entities. For instance, yours now, I believe you also do it. if I'm not wrong. And when it comes to, if I go get a loan from somewhere to maybe pump that cash into my SME, how do I do the matrix there so as I may not end up paying the loan and nothing remains on my side?
Yeah, that's very interesting. First, I would say you need to know the purpose for this loan. Loans are very good because if, for example, I see that there is a need for me to scale with business. Let's say, for example, you are dealing with a production center.
Right.
Not a production center, but you are dealing with production. You are producing liquid soap that is used by households to do the household cleaning and stuff. And your market at that time is limited because you're just dealing with households. If maybe you want to scale your business to a point that you now want to supply these liquid soap to institutions like Boss TV and others, of course you'll need to increase your production rate of production. So in that, if you are able to foresee and you see that if I increase my production because I'm growing and this is what I expect from, I'll be able to pay that loan. So you see, loan will enable you to attain maybe a production machine that you will not have gotten through the savings and the applying back of profit. Now the issue comes if you now go for loans and you have not, first of all, you have not looked into your business to know that now you're in that stage of growth.
Right.
Yeah, and also how you are going to facilitate the loans. That's where now the issue comes in. So you have to know the stage that you are pumping that. You don't need to grow very fast to a point that you cannot manage your business. Also, you don't want to go for loans and you find yourself you are not in a position to pay because you had not calculated the returns from that loans.
Right, and this is quite a challenge to most, creating that balance between taking up a loan and running the business. And that's why we see the survival rates of some of these SMEs is so wanting. I know you've had to see somebody begins something to do and 3 to 6 months it's done with and it dies for good. And when you speak to the person, he'll tell you, in fact, I even went for some loans somewhere and now my business is dead and I'm still sourcing money from other side to pay such loans. If you were to advise that person who is running an SME on loans, how keen should he or she be?
I would say first is to ensure that you are taking the loan with a purpose. I will also advise them that ensure as you are taking these loans, you have first figured how you are going to repay it. Yeah, and also know the stage that
the repayment should be coming from the business itself, or because the payment of the loan is where the problem is. Mostly, they will get money from the business, yes, pay the loan. But when it comes to now getting to source and adding more stock, it becomes a problem. That's why we see the business dies and still the loan needs to be paid.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So mostly that I would say happens to those that start business with a loan. I would say, and I want to give a case of what we do. I've said that through our channel, Somo Invest, we give initial funding that is non-refundable.
Okay.
So that means that when you are starting the business, if you borrow some money to start the business without first of all either starting that business with your savings or with contributions from friends, there is going to be a problem because majority of businesses, they don't break even until 6. There are some who will break even up to 3 years to 10 years, depending on how that sort of business is. Yes. But for the ones that we've worked with, we find that majority of them will not break even up to the 8th or 10th month. So that tells you that not breaking even means that the business, you are constantly pumping money into the business. The business is not in a position to run itself. You are making losses in the initial stages. So if now you go for loan, so you can imagine what you are doing. You are paying loan within that maybe they'll give you a grace period of 6 months.
6 months.
So within those 6 months, after those 6 months, you'll be paying loan, and also you'll also be taking money from somewhere else to pump into the business with the hope that the business will break even. So you see now there, you are going negative. You are paying loans, and also the business is expecting you to pump money so that it can sustain yourself. So with that sort of a scenario, it's very difficult for such businesses to thrive. That's why it's very important, as you are starting any business, ensure that you've started it with your personal savings or with contributions from your friends, and then there is a stage that you will see that this business, I need to add maybe a production, something to help me with production, or is at the time that I want to do marketing, I want people to know me. So at that time now, you can go for loans, but until you have figured out how you are going to pay this loan. It could be from the business or from other means.
Right, very well. Very interesting and quite insightful. Very good content there coming from Mr. Gitao. Is one of the individuals who they do stuff about SMEs, you can be sure. And before even we wrap it up here, and this is out of context, but it's very interesting for us to understand, and especially those who are looking forward to become entrepreneurs, big ones. And from what we see, we have bigger names inside, big names inside this industry that we know they have worked out well. Let's take for a good example, the Karaoke Breweries now. It's facing a lot. In fact, I know you've heard of the story, and we are wondering, because we did have such kind of companies that have grown from grass to grace, but now they are headed from grace to grass, and we are asking, what is the problem, for instance? What can bring down such big entities? Talking also, we have the likes of other supermarkets that we did have in town. Like right now, there is no more Nakumat. What is not happening?
Yes. So in that, I would say it's a multidimensional of very many things, which of course some will argue they have to do with politics. Some will argue that there was aspect of them not adhering to certain tax obligations. But I would say the most important thing, the issue with finances comes into play. We are well know this with Nakumat, and one of the thing that Nakumat faces is that it had something with to do with the target audiences, because you could see that their supermarkets were located at high-end areas, like in I would say majority of middle class areas. So those people, they purchase things once in a month. They might go and purchase all the things that they need for the household items, and and now they will have to wait for another month. But you could see some of the successful, like Tuskies, they are very good at the people that they target. They are located at areas that tunaweza sema mwananchi wa kawaida, and these people are regular shoppers, and some have argued that these are the people that trans the economy. So it is also very important, and something that we emphasize during our trainings. As I said, skills are very important before you handle money, to know your target market and to have the pricing right. Of course, there are some other things that we will say that are bringing down things to do with Tuskies, Nakumat. This is because maybe the rate at which they are getting debts and the suppliers, them not being paid once they bring the stuff in, that grows faster than the way they are able to generate cash.
Very true. Now, as we wrap it up, and maybe somebody has listened so very keenly at your points and is so much interested, where is Somo Africa located? How can we find you, your social media platforms, as we finish?
Yes. Somo Africa in Mombasa, we are located at Likoni. We have the Youth Empowerment Center. That's where our main offices are. In social media, we have a website, www.somoafrica.org. You will find all information that you may need to know about us. And of course, we have other social media platform. In Facebook, we have Somo Africa. In Twitter, we have Somo Africa. And I want to ask any entrepreneur in Mombasa who would want to get into our programs. We are recruiting for the next cohort is starting from May. You will just need to go to our website, www.somoafrica.org, and then you scroll down to become an entrepreneur, and then
any person
will become an entrepreneur, and then you will find a Google form. You'll have to fill it in. But I would want to say, if you are applying for an entrepreneur program, that is Buruka, we focus on social entrepreneurship under that. So it has to do with areas of health, employment, education, and training. So you can, if you feel like you have that sort of a venture, you feel free to go there. We will be able to direct you well.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming through. We do much appreciate your time and for the insights concerning how we can improve on our SMEs productivity. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that has been quite a conversation. You must agree with me. Quite insightful, and there was so much to draw from him, and that's why we do love to bring professionals to help us understand some of these fine details that are coming out in our economy and also in issues about SMEs. Last but not least, I forgot to ask you this.
Yes.
There is a crackdown of border operators going on, and of course border industry and the sector plays a major key role in the improvement of our economy.
Sure.
What can you comment about it?
I would say of course, the border industry supports a lot of family, and of course, every person has to do what brings food on the table. What I would say is the government maybe can do something about regulations. They ensure that you are licensed before you start the business, and also even for these border operators, it will be important if they form like a SACCO or something, because with that they'll be able to approach financial institutions. They'll have access to loans and everything, and with that also there is growth. But when there is no regulations, of course you'll have a lot of mediocre people who are in that business, and that will result into issues that what we recently saw.
Very well. So you are in agreement with the crackdown? Are you support like let's bring sanity inside border industry?
Yeah, that should have been done a long time ago. You remember the time that we had Transport Minister Michuki, how he ensured that there was sanity in our roads. So I'm very sure maybe that's what is happening with the current Minister for Transport. And yeah, it needed to have been done earlier, but better late than never.
And we are never late.
Yeah,
sure. Very true. And thank you so much. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we must bring it a wrap here right now. And of course, special thanks to my producer and cameraman Kaka Isa, together with the directors on the other side. That is William Gotti, assisted by Esther Adhiam.